Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the weekend wrap. First and foremost, gotta say a big congratulations to Argentina. Personally, I wanted France to win, but for the story, for Messi and his career and his legacy, it was probably the right decision. So yeah, I mean, they worked hard. I haven't seen the full 90 minutes, but I've watched all of the extra time and the penalties as I was out at the time. But yeah, big shouts to them. You know, Kylian Mbappe and the rest of the team, they're young, so they've got the next one to look forward to, and I'm sure they're going to do big things moving forward. But that's enough football talk. This will probably be the last weekend wrap of the year, and next week and part of the week after, there's going to be some, you know, best of videos, so look out for those. But without further ado, let's get into this weekend's action. Okay, so if we start with Friday, a massive upset in the women's 154 division, aka the super welterweight or the light middle. So Mary Spencer lost unanimous decision to Femke Hermans. Now, for those of you who know that name or feel like that name rings a bell, not quite sure who, that's because Femke Hermans is the person that Savannah Marshall knocked out in her last fight before the Claressa Shields fight. Now look, Femke is not a bad boxer by any stretch of the imagination. She's mixed it with the top level quite a few times. Obviously she was beat unanimously by Claressa Shields and then, you know, knocked out by Savannah Marshall, but she's a pretty good operator. However, for someone the level of Mary Spencer, the amateur pedigree plus the ferociousness, the big power punching, all that, I was not expecting her to win this fight. I was expecting Mary to basically dominate this fight, you know, and take Femke out, especially considering that Femke was going to be coming down 6 pounds, 7 pounds from the previous fight. Although maybe in natural fact, that's more her natural weight, sort of the 154. Maybe she feels a lot more comfortable down there, and when she was at 160 for Savannah Marshall, maybe she is eating her way to that weight. But look, outside of the first round, like, Mary looked total and utter dog shit. That's about as nice as I can put it. And it's really frustrating for me because I've championed her since she turned pro. I've watched a lot of the amateur background. I know her pedigree. But there are times where she just maybe seems to not be able to get out of her own head and out of her own way. Similar to what used to go on with Savannah Marshall, to be totally honest with you. But yeah, she was just outfought. She was outlanded, outjabbed, out backhanded. Just pretty much, she was outfought, and she was outfought as the taller person, letting the person with the shorter reach out-jab her, beat her to the punch. I know that obviously she was an orthodox, like, facing a southpaw throughout the majority of the fight, but you've experienced a lot of that in the amateurs, so I really don't know what the deal was there. But as I said, it was extremely lackluster. Possibly that was a sick fight this year. Maybe 6 fights is too much, even sort of coming up as a pro. Like, people aren't as conditioned as they used to be back in the day, so maybe there was just one too many. Or, I mean, last week it was her birthday, she turned 38. Maybe she just literally went old overnight. As we all know, that can happen too. But look, that's enough about what Mary did wrong. Femke Hermans, big respect to her, because she showed that she is still a good level operator, and you can't just be on any vibe to beat her. Like, she's gonna make you work, and if you're not up to the task, you will get found out. So unfortunately, that's back to the drawing board for Mary, and that's probably a very fortuitous situation for both Natasha Jonas and Terry Harper, so that at least now they're not going to be mandated to face her anytime soon. Cecilia Breakers came back into action on, I think it was Friday night as well, possibly it was last night, so that could also be a very interesting point for that division, but we'll wait and see on that one. Also, less likely to talk about, Arslanbek Makhmudov wiped out Michael Valish in 1 round. I think he had him dropped twice in the first round, or 3 times. I haven't seen that one, but I know that Valish refused to get off his stool after the first round, so didn't come out for the second. So yeah, first round TKO, nothing else to talk about that one. Let's move on to Sky Sports and Boxer. So as always, big ups, congrats and salutations and all the flowers and all the accolades possible to sweet Caroline Dubois. Again, came out, great performance, vicious performance, aggressive, great punch placement, punching through the guard of Sofia Rodriguez as well. Personally, this is just me, I do feel like the fight was stopped a bit prematurely. I mean, yes, she was overmatched, Rodriguez, but she was still trying to trade and exchange and throw back. Very similar to the Shannon O'Connell and Ebony Bridges fight last week, even though, you know, Shannon O'Connell, the writing was on the wall. I didn't necessarily have a huge issue with that stoppage. She was still trying to throw back punches at the same time. So that's my philosophy. Like, unless you're down on the floor or your hands are down by your side and you've taken 2 or 3 clean shots, like if you're still exchanging, the ref should leave you to it. You know, at the end of the point, it's like your own self-preservation should tell you whether you need to go down or not. But that's why I'm not a referee, because I'd probably get quite a few people hurt in there if their own, you know, heart and bravery doesn't want to make them concede, you know, to the necessary defeat, or at least taking that momentary, that knee when's necessary. But yeah, Caroline Dubois done what she needs to do. Looking forward to 2023. What was it? I think that was her 5th fight this year. Debut year, great one. So yeah, looking forward to what the next year has in store. Hopefully a higher level of competition, but again, there's absolutely no rush, so there's no need to rush her towards world titles or anything like that. Just let her go around clearing out the rest of the division. That's what I would personally do at this point. Take on, you know, if she's in the top 20, then make her fight, you know, 3 or 4 people in the top 20. Then the next year after that, then, you know, 2 people in the top 10. Then, you know, properly work your way into that mandatory position to make sure that you faced any and every type of person that you need to en route to a world title, just to make sure that you're as best prepared for it as you're ever going to be. But however they move her, I'm trusting them to do the right thing, and I'm trusting her skill sets to get her through many tests. But yeah, Caroline's good, so big up to her. Super shout out to Super Dan Azeez with the, what was it, the 8th round stoppage of Rocky Fielding. Now, I always, when I first done an initial bet on this fight, which was last week, I just did that outright. But throughout the course of this week, I was just thinking more about Dan's style, how he works, you know, sort of just that constant pressure, staying on people, like the gas tank, the level of energy that he's got, and, you know, the pace that you have to be able to fight at in order to, you know, to keep up with him. I just didn't think Rocky had that in him. And then I was kind of thinking of, you know, the Billam-Smith defeat, you know, the first round KO, then even the Canelo defeat, just how he doesn't deal that well with pressure. And then yeah, earlier on this week, I definitely changed my mind and said that it would be a stoppage victory for Dan, and thank you, Dan, for proving me right. Now he is the Commonwealth as well as the British light heavyweight champion. He's got one more defense of the British to win it outright. I really hope he does that. I know Ben Shalom's talking about fast tracking to the European, but unless it's a European title fight against another British opponent, again, do the British, win the British outright before relinquishing it, just so you can fully say that's an accolade not many people have, and that's a belt you get to keep like infinitum minute. So big ups to Dan. Yeah, great performance from him. And Chris Billam-Smith, it was a very lackluster performance to begin with. He did sort of start to pick it up from about round 3 to 4. Armend Xhoxhaj, I think his name is Xhoxhaj. He is a typically small cruiserweight. He's probably one of those guys that is too small for cruiser, too big for light heavy. So there is an unfair balance in that division at times. But you know, what else can you really say? Like, if he had have kept distance a bit more and not sort of been so gung-ho to try and just stay on Billam-Smith's chest, he maybe could have got taken out quicker, but he might have also been able to ambush Billam-Smith a bit more and get a little bit more success, because he was actually having quite a bit of success up close in range of Billam-Smith. But obviously just the size, every time you start having to push him and go to the ropes and have to spin off, that's just extra energy. Caught Billam-Smith with a great overhand right in the second round, buckled his legs, but so I guess that kind of woke him up and switched him on a bit. Third round and the fourth round, he sort of started to come back a little bit. I had it 2-2 at the end of the fourth, but during the fifth round, there was absolutely no controversy about who won that fight. Billam-Smith put himself in contention for potential knockout of the year candidate. So I think a lot of people's lists may have just changed, or at least now need a different bit of consideration. My knockout of the year list will be coming up next week, so look out for that. But yeah, it was an entertaining fight. It was probably a lot more entertaining than it should have been. Ben Shalom came up at the end and said, everyone thought this would be a walkover. We knew it would be a very dangerous and a very hard and competitive fight. If that's what he truly means, then that means that Chris Billam-Smith isn't ready for the world level, because Armand, as game as he was, he doesn't get that kind of success against a Jai Opetaia or a Richard Riakporhe or a Lawrence Okolie. I don't even think he gets that kind of success off Tommy McCarthy, if I'm totally honest. But yeah, I mean, Chris does kind of make a lot of things hard for himself. He takes a little time to warm up, and he just likes to use his size more than his boxing skills a lot of the time, and probably that's what got him in a little bit of bother in this one. But I'm expecting him to learn from that and go through the gears in the next one and possibly do a lot better. In terms of wanting Jai Opetaia next, you're not ready for Jai Opetaia. Like, that movement is going to cause you all kinds of problems, and the fact that you're not going to be able to bully that guy about. If Maris Breeders couldn't knock him off his feet or break his spirit after breaking his jaw in 2 different places, I don't think you got the heart to do it either. So he'd probably be better off trying to go with a big banger like Gulamarian, who's been inactive for God knows how long, or a Makabu, just because Makabu's a lot smaller. You can maybe keep him on the end of a jab and use your size advantage against him. That would probably, to me, would be your better opportunities in terms of getting a world title. Obviously, you're not going to go with Lawrence Okolie because they're in the same gym, but you're not. I don't think he's ready for Jai, even though he is the most novice-y champion out there at cruiserweight. But good overall. So yeah, congrats, and we'll see what 2023 holds for you. So before anything, I quickly want to touch on Sulaiman Sissoko's majority decision victory over Talani Mbengue took place in France last night. Now that was a very sort of technical fight. Sissoko definitely used his amateur skills to sort of, he was riding, rolling, sort of slipping and countering shots from Talani Mbengue all night. From what I saw, but Mbengue was game and made sure that Sulaiman Sissoko was not going to be resting on his laurels. Like, he did have his successes, just not as many as probably he would have hoped or he would have thought based on previous experiences. So yeah, big congrats to Sissoko. Obviously 258 management moves forward in his career, so it will be fun to see kind of what he does next and whereabouts he can sort of take things. Also, Christian Mabili for Vaughan Alexander. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I thought he would get the knockout. Number one, Christian Mobili hits extremely hard, and Vaughn Alexander does not move his head and doesn't move his body. He's got a very tight guard, and he's very strong and sort of powerful and tough, but I thought that eventually, you know, that nutcracker would crack that nut. But no, it went the distance. So, you know, I gotta say big ups to Vaughn for lasting, but also for pushing Mobili as well. Mobili's got to sharpen up a bit on the actual skills, you know, setting things up. You know, he proper drives everything from the ground to, you know, from his feet up his legs into his arms for almost every power shot. He needs to, you know, sort of set some things up to maybe catch his opponents unaware. Now, obviously, what he's been doing has been working for him, but when you come up against the more durable people, you've got to walk them onto stuff that they don't see. You've got to be cute and clever. That's one thing that Christian Mobili doesn't have to his game right now, but hopefully that's something he can learn. But you know, it was a comfortable victory. He still moves on. He's still a threat, and I've got a lot of expectations that he will do some damage in the division moving forward. So yeah, just wanted to highlight that one real quick. Last but not least, we had Michel Ali Rivera versus Frank the Ghost Martin, and yeah, I got this one wrong. I thought that Rivera would win a points decision, purely because number one, he's got the more pro experience. He's an actual boxer, whereas Martin's more of a boxer puncher. So stylistically, Rivera should have the advantage. And I felt like if you look at their competition that they've had, like Rivera's competition's been slightly better overall. I feel like he's been in there with slightly better guys and seen a lot more looks. However, two things I didn't realize going into this fight, and maybe I should have, I possibly wasn't paying attention. He is managed, well, I don't know if he's managed, so he's trained by Herman Caicedo, who is Luis Ortiz's trainer. I don't really rate him too tough as a trainer, and the fact that in this battle, the jab is the most important weapon. He couldn't get his jab off against Frank Martin at all. Martin was parrying that pretty much all throughout the fight. And also, for some reason, Michel Rivera was not able to move to his left on any one occasion. Constantly had his lead foot on the inside of Martin's lead foot, when really he should have been trying to dominate outside position with Martin being a southpaw. But constantly moving over to his right, trying to land punches on the inside, and lunging in to sort of try and hit shots as well. It wasn't the Michel Rivera that I'm used to seeing, quite frankly. That being said, Frank Martin was almost perfect in the fight. Like the way he was countering, the way he was nullifying the lead hand jab, the way he was stepping just out of range to make Michel miss and then make him pay with like 1 and 2, 3 punch combinations, even dropping him in the 7th round, which I thought was a little bit harsh because there was a little bit of tangling of legs, but it was a legit knockdown as well. So yeah, I mean, I just got to give it up to him. He, you know, like I said, he proved me wrong. I'm sure he proved a lot of other people wrong who maybe thought that Michel Rivera just had a bit more experience. Michel back to the drawing board, but at being only 24 years old, like he's got a lot more in the gas tank. And if he can actually study footage and learn from this fight and learn to move to his left as well, especially against the southpaw, I think there's still a lot of bright spots in his future. So yeah, I just want to highlight that one. I'll talk about more of that on the Breakdown on Undefeated podcast channel this Tuesday, 9 p.m. I'm going to leave it there. But yeah, as I said, over the next week and next week, there will be a bunch of, you know, best of videos. So like KO of the year, male fighter of the year, female fighter of the year, knockout of the year, which I think I just already said, so I'm tired, it's been a long day. There's going to be male prospect, female prospect. There'll be fight of the year. That will just be a mixture of both men and women. And I think just overall, yeah, I think that's it. I'll put a list in the community tab, and then we'll whittle them down. I think there will be about 5 or 6 videos, 8 max, unless I feel that more. But yeah, look, that's it for now. Weekend's wrapped up. Thank you very much for watching. Hope I haven't rambled too much, but it is what it is. Bless up, salute, and I will catch you during the week. Peace.